Alright, so welcome to the playthrough of my sewers level from the Half-Life 2 mod Canals. So for this level, we've only got a basic setup with a crowbar and a pistol that we obtained from the previous level, which you can see part of back that way. And the level opens up to some resupply crates in case the player was damaged during the last level, and this little storage area. See this combine bit here kind of help indicate to the player that combine might be nearby, and this fence blocking them in. So the player will have to traverse by breaking down these boards, which they can jump through, and descending. So here I wanted the map to start with warm, bright colors and slowly traverse into a real dark pit to give that sense of foreboding here. And we'll come across our first enemy here in a moment, this zombie. And I wanted this place to feel rather abandoned, so I had the zombie sitting down, so it hasn't been disturbed in a while. And we'll come through this door. There's some real combat, some fast zombies. I made sure to give the player ample room to back up. Fast zombies generally require a lot of movement to fight, especially if you only have the pistol. And if the player is lucky and the zombie leaps at them and they manage to duck into this hallway, the zombie could go off the edge there and die in the water down below. So again, some more indications that there's combine nearby, and if we go through this area, you can see that kind of warm hole again. And it really contrasts this whole area, and that should bring the player's attention there. So we'll come along this way, and here I've given the player some health, because they're going to have to make this jump and they'll likely take a little bit of damage. So, you know, in case they've struggled with those fast zombies, I can't have this terrain kill them. That wouldn't really be fair to them. So I've got this broken piece. They can't traverse it, so the best option they've got to move on is to drop down off this ledge down here. Oh, I've taken 2 damage there. To keep this section interesting, but also calm, I've placed a lot of barnacles around. That will help draw the player's attention both upwards, hopefully showing them the different exits to the area, as well as just make it a little bit more interesting than a walk. I should go back here. I've worked in some little story elements here to make it feel like this place was lived in. So you can read here that there was sort of a rebel who had camped out down here thinking he was safe, but had likely fallen off the edge. Alright, so we continue on, and now we're getting to that warm light I was talking about, our barnacle that makes sure that the player looks up to realize that that's where they're supposed to be going with this ladder. Once again, we're going to continue on. At this point, the player could jump down to this ledge. However, they would quickly find themselves trapped there. Again, we've come across that barnacle, and I'm going to act as though I'm have the need to conserve ammo, and I'm going to avoid it. And same with this one here, I'm going to avoid it. I want the player to stay aware while they're in this area. And I'm using these lights as well to guide the player along. So we'll come around here, and now we've gotten back to that area with the gap. Again, I've placed health here because there's a bit of a drop, and if the player's taken damage from the barnacles, this could prove deadly. So I've given them that option. We can just walk off the end here.
Minor fracture detected.
And so now we've got the light on the door that hopefully they've seen earlier. That kind of lets them know that this is another important area. Following that logic, so is that top spot, which we'll get back to later. So here's a little intermediary period where it's just kind of calming, gets the player flat back into that hallway space. We hear a head crab, so switching to the crowbar for a quick dispatch there. Got this bright light coming. The previous level, the player was never really on the surface. They've been sort of working their way up through the sewers all along, so that'll help indicate that they're getting closer to the surface than they had been. Here we have another little story. Presumably this head crab killed this soldier, and that also helps to foreshadow our first interaction with the Combine since the start of the mod. So we have this little area blocked off, pushes the player through here. When the player comes through here, they immediately see the head crabs and would go out to attack them, but are pretty quickly warned by the presence of this poison head crab there, or poison zombie there. So they'll have to deal with him before they can really continue. Him out of the way, we can continue on. So for this space, I really like that long, kind of wide hallway. Seems like this is sort of maintenance to the other tunnels. And I wanted it to feel like it was accessible without crawling through said tunnels, just for the cohesion. So this would be a surface access port, and then the player could assume that that was the real way that someone would supposed to get down into this maintenance area. As they cross through here, the zombie catches on fire to warn them of the dangers of this gas here. There's two other warnings. One, and those are the sparks coming off of this wire and this gas coming through here. So the player can drop down through here, with that being really the only way to go. And they can follow this pipe, broken pipes to the pipe, and this pipe will guide the player's eyes, as well as these red lights, down to this valve, which they can turn. But the player will quickly realize, and try and return, that they actually can't get out. Luckily, right here, I've given them the answer. And they can just take that barrel, use the ledge to flip it around so they can stand on it. Unfortunately, this one barrel isn't quite high enough, so they have to go and get a second one. And I have that second one right here. A little bit out of sight, so the player may have to actually look for it, but not so out of sight that it would be outrageous to expect someone to find it. So again, we'll do the same procedure. We'll flip it, and because of the physics within the game, we can actually stand on that ledge and use it to get up there if we're quick enough. There we go. And so now that gas is off, and the player can proceed down through. This room, I've used these three pretty brightly lit areas to guide the player's eyes upwards. That's where they're going to want to go, is head up towards that ramp. Same with this bright light, sort of gives that impression. The player feels exploratory. There is this vent there, and they are rewarded for exploring it. I've also made sure that the vent has multiple ins and outs to feel authentic. Nothing breaks immersion faster than having a vent that just connects two rooms and that's its only purpose. And we'll see this specific design for the drain repeatedly to make sure that the whole map feels pretty cohesive overall. It wouldn't make much sense to have dozens of different designs. And you can hear the zombies and the Combine technology overhead. So we'll want to switch back to the gun here. Alright. So as we come up here, there's a little bit of story. This is where the player would first encounter, really get the ball rolling for themselves. The idea is in the first level they've accidentally fallen down into the sewers and have simply been fighting zombies trying to make their way back out, but now they've gotten mixed up with the Underground Railroad. And as they come up here, they will find Combine and fellow citizens, but these citizens are part of the Underground Railroad and are being interrogated and punished for it. And this gets the player caught up and really gets the ball rolling on the game.
Help me!
So the man calls for help, and Combine quickly realizes here, and you can see that they're pretty well set up for combat already with these concrete blocks, and they've also got help from some man-hacks. They have some man-hack dispensers in the back of the room, as well as cameras to presumably watch the interrogations and send that information up higher in the Combine food chain. We'll just get through this little fight. Should the player choose to be more aggressive, they could take cover up here behind these blocks instead of back in the hallway. It's really up to them. So now we see the guy who's calling for help before being killed, and his friends who have been interrogated and killed and sort of piled up in here. And the Combine have really kind of staked this area out. They're holding back the zombie with this wall. And so if you look around a little bit, you'll be able to find the console with this button. And that would certainly shut off the wall first, since those zombies are behind it, but we've got ourselves healed up. Combine almost always have some sort of tech like this. Alright. And... oh, forgot to hit the button. Alright. So we'll hit that button. And that sort of free the zombies. I'll fight these guys off with the crowbar. These guys aren't too tough. So again, a little vignette, a little story here. Just two chairs and some Coke. One of my favorite stories, I think. And we've now got these boxes and lots of crates and wood pallets and this kind of large area for vehicles. That would indicate that this area is so large because it was a storage room of some sort. And we just have these nice little electrical systems. If the player comes up, they can hear the zombie crying, and if we go this way, it would confirm the theory that this is shipping. You can see the forklift in there, but there's no way to get through that door. So we'll continue on. Alright, we're back in that area, and as I said, these guide the player up to where they need to be, and here we are. You can see some of the beds that the people from the Underground Railroad were likely using before they were caught. And through this door, the player would get surprised by the sight right here. So we'll come down, back into that really common sewer that I've been using. And again, that really bright sunlight coming down. And if you didn't notice this, these stairs fell as I was walking over them. Give them the sense that this place isn't doing too well. The zombie gets caught here, which is pretty fun, I think. keeps to remind the player to really watch where they're going. Alright, and then if we want to try all of these doors, again, some of that disrepair, places falling apart, try all these doors. They'll be locked. And so then these large pipes will show the player where to go. And right as the player gets to this one, some Combine run up, and they can use this as cover as these guys come for them. Earlier up, I placed a crate with some grenades, so if the player remembers that and didn't waste it, they can use that here. And now the player gets their third weapon, the SMG, a little bit more powerful. And so we come up these stairs, we can see where the Combine came from, through this Combine lock on the door. They've been using this pathway that we just took to get to that interrogation. There's that bright sunlight. We feel really close to the surface, like we're almost there, which is ideal. I want the player to really feel like they're getting close to the surface, because they are. Alright, so we're gonna fight these guys. And if the player is gonna be going to all the doors, they'll be rewarded further exploration with some more ammo for that SMG. Alright. Here we go. And we're coming back into that main room once more. So I'm a little bit deceptive at this part. I have the light on this door and this door, which I've previously been using to show the player where to go, but in fact, the door that they need to take is not the light. I don't want the game to feel stale, like all they have to do is follow the lights. If they come to this door, you can actually get a little foreshadow. You can see the fast zombie in here. Right there, you can see his back leg. He's waiting for the player. So, I feel like it'd be natural for a player to continue this way and go through this door. This really just loops back to that first hallway that we used after that really long ladder. You can see down into it just a little bit down there. But this door is locked. I want to make sure that this place feels like it's larger than just the space that the player is in, and I think that's one of my ways of doing it. And by guiding the player there, they would go there and understand that maybe normally you'd go that way, but this time the door is locked. Alright, so this is the true way to go, and as we remember, there was that fast zombie that we saw, so there he is waiting for the player. They may not have seen his friend here. Alright, now we'll come back up this way. And if we just follow these lights, you'll be able to see where to go, you know, if you fall in the water, but also take you to the end of the room, but these doors are locked, both of them. And then the player sees the zombie. If they choose to be trying to avoid combat, they can come up and try to unlock these, but it won't work. So they have to come this way, or the zombie will break down the wall and they'll be forced to fight it. Or break down those boards. Alright, and again, right here I'm going to be using the barnacle to bring the player's eyes upwards to see this vent. This particular vent isn't accessible here, but I hope that would remind them that vents are something they should be looking for. Specifically for this room here, you'll see that in a moment after I fight these two enemies here. Alright, so here's the vent. For this particular playthrough, I'm not going to go through it, but it leads over to that side, and should the player decide to go to that side and explore a little bit, they'll be rewarded as usual in a fight that you'll be seeing up at the top of these stairs. If they go to that side, they'll be able to essentially skip the fight, which could save them some health. So when we come in here, you'll hear a groaning as you approach the stairs, and if the player chooses to investigate that, they'll see that this has been sort of closed up and there's blood around, and you can just barely see the feet there of a citizen. So you get the idea that this guy's been hurt. He's trying to stay quiet, hide under these stairs. So we'll head up the stairs. Now we're getting to that room I mentioned earlier. As the player comes in here, things have gotten pretty out of hand, especially for the Combine here. Got some zombies running through that fire.
Ammunition depleted.
So here there's a bit of a story where this generator was being powered by this gas line, but it burst into flames, so they've lost power, and so they no longer have their protective wall here. The zombies are starting to get through. And they've used the little cafeteria tables that they had available to them to protect themselves and make a defensive line. And there again is that Combine lock. They've been here a while. You can see what they've set up. We'll avoid fighting these zombies for now, it's not necessary. And now that we're really close to the surface, you could expect that these areas are more public. You know, a cafeteria and a lobby, and this would be the entrance hall. Why it has things like waiting benches and the double doors up here, and I think that's important to the consistency of this level. It wouldn't make sense for the whole place to be made of concrete and pipes. This isn't a sewer anymore. This is the access tunnel to a sewer. So here's the facility that sits on top of it. The player comes through here and they'll pick the oddball out. Come through to this maintenance room, climb on up, and then they'll come through here, and this is my main area where I want to show the player that they've really progressed. Here's that starting room that we begin, and you can see the health there and that set of boards that we broke down, that sparking Combine lock. And so now we know once again that we're at the surface, and you can hear that the birds chirping, and now we're actually out on the surface. I've placed in these lines here to guide the player's eye to where they need to go that way. See that door down there? So here, if the player is really careful, they can drop off this fence here onto the top of this truck without taking damage. Now we've got a really classic physics puzzle here with the toxic liquid that has filled the parking lot of this facility. You can see the front doors here again. They've been boarded up to prevent this from flooding down into the main facility. So, just work our way across here. Oh. Alright, so we've gotten across. Because of the size of that gap, we've lost one of our boxes, and by our own recklessness we've lost that one, so I've placed in this truck here. So if the player falls in, they've got a health kit there to bring him back up. And we've got this box here to sort of replace that other one that we broke, or the one that we've lost. But because of the health kit, I know that the player would be capable of surviving this particular run to that ladder. So I didn't feel the need to place in more boxes. The player should be able to survive off of 25 health. That came from that med kit. So there we go, no problem. So here we are at the end of the level. The player began you know, in that room. They sort of finished in that room, and for the first time in the game, they're actually on the surface and they can see the sky. And alright, let's continue on. This will end the level. On to the next level through that door. Alright, thanks for watching.